So welcome to this week's Healing with Creativity. I'm Larissa Russell from Creative You, and hopefully you've had a chance to read this week's blog, Emotional Healing for the Hurting Heart. And so the exercise this week is about sewing a heart to mend. And so some of the things you need is fabric, scissors, needle and thread, some embroidery floss, a permanent marker, and a little bit of stuffing. As you'll see in the video, I had very little of those things, and so I'm a true believer in making do with what you've got. So that's what I did, because for me, I believe it's about the process. Okay, so let's get started. So like I said, we're doing a heart. We're sewing our heart to mend it. So we need fabric, we need thread. I couldn't find any thread. I know I have thread, I have a sewing box somewhere. So I'm just using embroidery floss. I had to take a pillow apart for some stuffing because I didn't have any stuffing either. So I took a pillow apart, an old beat up pillow that my granddaughter uses. I'll just sew it back up, she won't even notice. Scissors, some fabric. You can use any fabric, like a piece of a sweater or a t-shirt. I just found some oh, and I didn't do a very good cutting job, I see. They're not the same. I thought they were the same, but they're not. So I just hacked away some fabric, and this is what I'm going to use, but literally anything. You could even use fabric to stuff it with, or I'm one of those great believers in whatever you have is what you use. All right. And then we want a fabric marker, or I'm just using a brush pen. It's a waterproof and Copic proof brush pen. And anything that's sort of not going to run through, wash away, that sort of thing. So fabric marker, permanent marker of some sort. You could use a Sharpie. There's so many different permanent markers. That's what this is as well. Okay, so our first step is to cut out our heart. And I am not worried about the perfection of shape. If you want to, you can fold it and cut a nice heart, or you can trace one. I kind of embrace the wonkiness. So I am going to, I think I'm going to just cut. I think I'm just going to cut. Hopefully my scissors are sharp enough that this is not. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm just using a cotton, same on both sides. But remember, before you cut, you want to make sure that good sides are together. So if you have a printed fabric, put your good sides together so that you will end up with the two sides matching, especially if you're doing a wonky shape. So it doesn't matter for what I'm doing because the fabric is the same on both sides. But if you have a pattern or something, you want to make sure that you have the good sides together so that they will match when you go to sew them together. All right, just a last minute, don't forget. And like I said, I'm not too worried about the exactness of it. If you are, trace it, draw it. I'm all about the wonky. And remember, you want it a little bit bigger than your finished size, because when you stitch it, it's of course going to be a little bit smaller, right? Because you have to have that 1/4 to 1/2 inch stitch. I'm just going to cut this, and then I'll see if I need to fix anything, make it a little better. So put that in my scrap bin. I'm just going to make this not so square over here. And maybe not so square over here. There we go. That's actually pretty even considering I was trying not to be even. So there's my two heart pieces. So I'm gonna say my good sides are together. So then this is my outside. So the idea behind this is to sort of mend our heart. So maybe we have, like we talked about, maybe a relationship or family member breaks your heart. Maybe you didn't get the dream job you wanted. Maybe, you know, you've lost someone close to you. Maybe your relationship isn't the same as it used to be. Maybe your favorite restaurant closed. We have a family favorite restaurant that closed during the pandemic, and our whole family is sort of devastated by that. Not on the same caliber as, losing a loved one, but whatever is hurting you, that's what this is for. So this is now our inside, right? This is going to be our inside because we've got our good sides together. I should have used a pattern so you could have seen the difference, so our good sides are together. So this is our outside, our inside. So I am going to write words of letting go and forgiveness. So I'm going to do words like peace. I just want to see if it's coming through a little bit. We're going to be okay with that. Once we get it sewn up and decorated and that sort of thing. So peace, let go, forgive. And you want this to be intentional for whatever your hurt is. You want about 3 to 5 on each side. So okay. So I have a few words on, so that's my inside. So I'm also going to be stitching, these will be my right sides when but before we stitch it together, I'm going to do some decorating on this side. And by decorating, I mean, I want to have like a scar that I stitch up. I maybe want to add a little heart with stitching and that sort of thing. Something that, it's the process of the stitching and letting go. So we're not just concentrating so hard on the stitching itself, but we're concentrating on what the heart represents and what the stitches represent. So you can either stitch a little scar, or I might just draw a little scar. I think I might use, I wonder if this Sharpie pen will work for this. I quite often learn new things while I'm showing you. And I don't have a piece of paper. Let's just use this. My paint marker. So this is my front side of my little heart. So I am just going to draw out a scar. And I don't know what your scar looks like to you. For some reason, my scars are usually very straight and long, but maybe it's jagged. Maybe it's even heart-shaped, a broken heart. Whenever I seem to get a scar, now this is an oil paint marker, I just realized, so of course the fabric wants to soak up the oil. This may not have been the best choice, but there's my scar. All right. Now I think green is healing. This is not about what matches and that sort of thing, so don't worry about that. It's more about the process. So I am going to, and again, because I couldn't find my sewing kit, I had to use my tapestry needles. I'm hoping they're sharp enough to go through the fabric. But again, like I said, I'm a fan of using what you have. And I'm going to start from the back because, of course, we want the knot to be on the inside. Actually, you know what? I think I want to add a little black to that scar. Feels like it needs a little black. There we go. And I'm going to start on the back. And I want some stitches of love to heal that. And green feels like a healing color to me, so I think I'm going to go little X's. Little kisses. Isn't that what X's are in X's and O's? Little kisses. So while you're stitching this, I want you to be, sort of repeating those words that you wrote on the back. So your words of forgiveness and letting go and that sort of thing, because it's about the process and doing what's healing for us, right? So we don't want to get caught up in the heartbreak. We don't want to get caught up in the hurt. We want to let go. So repeating those words to ourselves. I used to cross stitch a lot when I was younger, and I remember teaching my brother to cross stitch, and he was just a teenager at the time because we have quite a large age difference between us, and he could turn his piece over and it was perfect X's on the back and the front, which to this day I don't know how he could do that, but I was always so envious of his precision. I've never had that. Okay, so we're just about at the end here, stitching up our scar, and the whole time we've been repeating those healing words, forgiveness and release and letting go and trust and whatever other words we needed to tell ourselves while we were doing the stitching. Almost that meditative healing process. So I've stitched up my scar. So I have my little, you can do X's, you can do a back and forth, whatever's good for you. Oh, it actually looks better on the back than I thought, but I'm just going to tie myself a knot. It's been a long time since I've hand stitched, so we'll do a couple of knots. So this is the back here where we've written our words. And cut that off. Now, beside your scar, I want you to stitch a little heart. Or even if you want, you know, hugs and kisses, maybe some X's and O's if that's easier for you. Whatever feels best to you, but something that's love to you beside that scar. Okay, so again, I'm going to start from the back. And I'm going to just freehand this. Maybe I'm going to move it over here. So no judgment, but you can draw it if you'd like. Actually, knowing myself, I am going to draw a little bit. I might just use a pencil for this though. Just draw a little heart. There we go. Probably can't even see that, so I'm gonna, that way I don't have to try and stitch a design. I'm gonna go back and forth. Okay, so there's my little heart for myself beside my scar that's been stitched up and mended. I'm just going to tie this off on the back. So now this is the front. You can see my words have come through, but those are my words on the back. And then this is the inside again. So they did come through on that side. And you can stitch on the other side too. You can put more. Oh, I wanted to put a button. I want to put a button. I feel like, I don't know if I want to attach things to it or if it just needs a button. So I am going to attach a button to the front. I think right here. I'm going to just put it right there. Shoot. Nope, I still have thread here. I'm just going to use this same pink thread. And I don't know why I felt it needed a button. Maybe I want to attach something to it later, but I just feel it needs a little more decorating. I'm just going to quickly attach that. It's It's not really being used as a button, so it doesn't need to be super strong. So I'm just going to go through twice. Normally when I attach a button, I go round and round, so I make sure it's super secure. There we go. So now I have a button. I'm not positive why I felt the need for it, but I do know that I need to listen more often when I'm told things. So that's why I'm adding it. And you could, oh, I've got a little loop, but this is the back, so I'm not worried. This is the difference between my brother and I. This is my back. There we go. So that's the front of my heart. So now I'm going to put the two fronts together. So the words are going to be, the words and now you may or may not be able to see your words through, but so you should be able to see, let me just make sure that's the right, yeah, because now I'm going to stitch my heart together. So again, I would normally use just regular thread for that, but being as I can't find my sewing kit, I am going to use embroidery floss. So that's how I roll. So I'm going to start at the bottom, because wherever you start, you're going to leave a gap so you can put the stuffing in. So I think I'm going to start down here at the point. And this one, whatever kind of stitch you think is better. I know some people like that blanket stitch. I'm just a pretty basic hand sewer, so I'm just going to go back and forth. Not too big of stitches. And while you're doing these stitches too, you can just be reminding yourself about letting go and about being kind to yourself and about forgiveness and trust. Any of those words that you wrote inside your pillow, right? Because this is what the process is. It's like a meditative process. We're just mending our heart. You can also machine stitch this if you want. To me, I like the hand stitching for the meditative process, but if it's going to frustrate you, that's not meditative, right? So use a machine to sew this up if that makes you feel better. You want to do what's right for you. As you can tell, stitching is not my strong suit, but it's calming, right? If you don't stress yourself out about it, it's very calming. Okay, so I'm coming close to the end of where I'm going to stitch for now. So I've got an opening there. I'm going to do a few more stitches. As you can see, it's not perfect stitching. It's very childlike. But you know what? I just went off and was thinking about forgiveness and was thinking about how letting go of things has helped me and that sort of thing. So hopefully you can do the same. I'm just going to do one or two more stitches here. Again, messy, but it's the inside, so we're not too worried. All right, so I have my outsides face, or my insides facing out. So now I'm going to turn it inside, or right side out, I guess, not inside out, right side out. And carefully just push it through. And we want to find the heart shape, so you might have to stick a pencil inside if your fingers don't fit far enough. I'm just going to use my marker that I have here, pushing gently because my stitches are not the best, so I'm just going to push gently. There we go. We end up with a heart shape. So this is my heart. Oh, see, I ended up with a wonky shape in the end. It's all good. So now I'm going to stuff this. And like I said, I have some old pillow stuffing here. So I'm just going to stuff that in there. So whatever you have. I think I even suggested dryer lint or dust bunnies. Might not hold up well, but you know, if that's all you have in the moment. If you cut apart a pillow like I did, you've got your needle and thread out, you can just mend it. And this was actually a horrible pillow, but for some reason my granddaughter loves it, so I will have to mend it. It's just the most deformed, uncomfortable pillow, but she likes it. So maybe because it's so little when it's all bunched up. I'm just stuffing the thread or the stuffing in there. Yeah, I think so. So now I'm going to just stitch up this part here. I'm just going to do a little surgery on him to get him stitched up. So I'm going to start with my knot on the inside. There are a few things I remember from home ec. I don't even, do they even have home ec? I don't think they have home ec anymore. So turn these edges in. Might get a little closer, but I'm just gonna now do a little stitch here to close him up. Again, you might want to use something that's not going to stand out. I'm using the same embroidery floss I've been using all along because, again, I have no idea where my sewing kit went. That tells you how often I sew. It's amazing how in this day and age we are more likely to throw things away if they have a hole than to fix them. And we used to fix them. I'm showing my age there, but we used to fix things instead of throwing them away. But I don't anymore for the most part. There's a few things. I have a teddy bear that the kids poked a hole in, and I've had it since my childhood. So that I did fix. But typically, you know, if I need sewing done, I'll take it to a tailor's, or else I'll never wear it and it ends up going to donation. So, but it's actually very calming to do the stitching. So maybe we need more of this. Maybe this is what I need more of in my life. Meditation, journaling, and stitching. I think whatever's calming to you. I think all creativity is calming. Well, no, that's not true. All creativity is healing. And when we set intention with our creativity, you know, we can heal exponentially. And so when we find something that really bodes well for us, it can be very calming. And so I think that I would like to take up some sort of stitching again. I might do some embroidery or something like that just to try it, get my hands back at it. I crochet quite regularly, especially in the winter. Last year I made a blanket for my mother-in-law. That took quite a while because what I thought of an Afghan and what my partner thought of an Afghan were about 4 sizes different. So that was, that took a lot more than expected. But we got it done just in time for Christmas. Wouldn't you know it, I'd get a knot at the very last stitch. But I am just going to cut all of that because that's how I roll. It is so not how I used to roll, let me tell you. All right, so I'm just going to push some stuffing down to that point. There is my mended heart. So now what we're going to do with this heart, because we put a lot of intention into this heart. So what I'm going to ask you to do is put this under your pillow tonight, the one that you've made, not mine. And when you put it under your pillow, it's with the intention of releasing the hurt and the pain, the heartache. And then in the morning, I'd like you to journal about that. Journal about the process of making your little heart, of mending your heart, of sleeping on your heart. Just journal about that and see if the release has come for you or any release has come for you. So hopefully you've enjoyed this and you will make your own. And I'd love to see them in the in our Facebook group, or you can put them on the YouTube channel. Anyway, I would love to see them, the ones that you've made. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed that and creating the little heart pillow. As you can see, my words are showing through because my fabric's thin. I had no pattern. But again, it's about the process. The heart and the stitching of the scar are two things that, you know, to me were important parts of that. And then for some reason, Spirit wanted me to add a button. And I feel like there may be something I need to add later. And so that button has sort of helped with that. So it doesn't matter what it looks like. Again, it's about the process. So hopefully you enjoyed that. And I would love to see, like I said, I would love to see the ones that you make. Throw them in the Creative View Facebook group, or throw them in the comments here on YouTube, whichever works for you. But I would love to be able to see them. So have an amazingly creative day, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening in. Please remember to like, share, subscribe wherever you are watching or listening. You can find us at www.creativeview.ca.